Hi everyone, it's Tanya here with another speed build. So today I'm showing you how I created my villager neighborhood, which also includes this little attic effect where I have space up top for you to decorate a little attic and run around it. So yeah, it's my newest part of my island and it was just really fun to create. So here's a little taste of how I did it. So first off, terraforming. I'm not going to show you the whole thing because it took like hours. But here's just a little snippet of what I did. I basically just created, I think it was 6 by 8 blocks behind each house. And yeah, just like roughly in the center, and initially I rounded off the edges, but I ended up chiseling in one square deep on either side just to allow for a straighter front with the simple panels. But yeah, basically just made an outline and then just kept filling it in bit by bit. So yeah, this took a while. And then on the edge, this is on the right where I wanted the staircase to go, just in front of resident services. And so I built up a bit of terrain here so that you could go up a staircase and then inch along to the first attic behind the most eastern house. But I wanted it to be quite small and subtle so it wasn't kind of taking up too much space. So yeah, just again, I think I rounded the edges but might have squared it off in the end just for the more urban feeling. Also to say my museum is going to move, but I'm just waiting till I clear out the spot that it's going to go into so I don't have to spend an extra 50,000. I just can't be bothered to play the turnip game anymore. To me, it's just a made-up word. I also just don't have the heart or the just too many heart attacks. So yeah, just kept building up that center part of each attic foundation. Then yeah, just wanted to show you how I did it on the biggest house. I have a different setup in that I wanted to create a much bigger attic on my most western house because in my Narnia theme, that's where I'm going to put the magician's study, which is the scene in The Magician's Nephew, which is the first book in the Chronicles of Narnia. So yeah, so the first 3 houses all have quite small attic spaces, and then the last one has a really big space just so I can really design that magician's lair, as you will. And then yeah, previously I had done this kind of stone pathing just because I wanted to map out if I had enough space for the path, and then to say the big dirt blocks are where I imagined each house to go. So those are 4 by 3. So I mapped those out before terraforming, just to plot everything out. And then look to see how the first house would look. So I noticed that then erases the path in front of it, but I can just put that in later on. And I think that's looking good. The cliff is just tight behind it, and you can see both sides behind the house once it's in place. So yeah, so with that done, moving on to the next day. I then time traveled and just got all of the houses in place, and I also decorated the first house because I just wanted to see how that would look, and I had a lot of kind of fiddling around and just really wanted to get that right. So what I'm trying to do with these yards, I'll get into that later, but basically the first bit was placing all those simple panels to create the illusion that there's a kind of a house extension behind each house, and then that then links to the attic, the panels on the second floor that lead to the attic. And then skipping ahead, this is the bigger house, where you could see there's just so much more to the left, just to allow me that space. And then wanted to show you how it looked once I started doing the second floor. So the front panels end up being quite close to the house. And I struggle a little bit with spacing sometimes. But yeah, just placing those out. And then skipping over to the next side and just plotting those down as well. This took so much time to order them all. Yeah, and then, it's just this on repeat basically. So then wanted to show you the kind of, the left and right side. So you kind of have a more of a protrusion in the front, and then on the sides it tapers back a little bit. So it's a funny little architectural design. Just thought it looked a bit more realistic than having it all flat. And it also gave me a little bit more space for the front yard landscaping. So yeah, then just building this out. It's starting to look a little bit like a mansion, but I think with the landscaping I can hide quite a bit of it, just so it doesn't stick out too much. I left that last square empty just so I could easily move up and down, and then I'll terraform and remove that bit of the cliff later. And then that was the last panel. So just wanted to see what that looks like, if the illusion's kind of working. I mean, I'm not great at illusion work. There are lots of people who do much more sophisticated stuff than me. And then on Diana's, I had already laid out the stalls and the flooring. So then had to start doing that for the other houses. So first I laid down the flooring. Turns out I really should have done that before laying out the simple panels, but I think I was just too engrossed in making sure I got that front visual right. And actually with 4 panels in the front just behind the house, you can't really see if the floor isn't filled out anyways. And like I was saying with the house on the left, where I've left some extra land, I've done that again behind the houses. That's so that I can lay out the stalls quite, like I have more space to lay out the stalls, and then I'll bash away those extra bits later on. So with all the flooring done, I could then put out the stalls. So the stalls tilt towards the way that you put them down. So I had to kind of lay them out in front and then scoot around and then push them towards the panel. And then wanted to add some panels on the side as well, just to enclose the space. Like, that's not really how a roof would go. It would normally just go, you know, either, it would have like 2 sides mostly. But wanted it to feel more closed in. And then put some stalls in the back. Again, I forgot that they tilt a certain way, so had to just lay that out again, and I got a bit stuck, so I'm glad I did have that extra space. And then I just repeated that. So this is the last bit I did for the biggest house. I didn't fill in the back as I did with the other houses because That's the magician's lair, and I'm going to have lots of bookcases and symbol panels and things like that. So I think it will feel enclosed enough on its own. And then yeah, so that's the walkway towards the attic. I'll put the bridge later on. But yeah, so just trying to look and see the illusion. It's a shame that with the perspective you don't see the stalls behind the panels, but I think it looked better than putting the stalls in front. So anyways, so then now was time to work on the landscaping. So as I mentioned, I already did the landscaping for Diana's house just because I wanted to get a feel for how it might look. And what I'm going for is a very natural feel, like how people would actually lay out their gardens. I've been walking around London quite a bit lately and looking at people's front yards and getting some inspiration there. So yeah, so wanted to have a tree in each, and then some flowers, some bushes, and then a little bit of something else that gives a little bit of personality, or yeah, just differentiate the houses a bit. I also wanted to do a rough color coordination. So like with the cherry tree, doing some red flowers and bushes. And that's just, yeah, I think I just thought that would be a nice way to theme each little garden, and make it feel cohesive, but like individual in itself. So yeah, just laying out different flowers, and then put in a little bit of furniture just to see if they were things that the villagers could interact with. And the thing with the flowers and the bushes, I just really wanted to vary them up so it wasn't like a line of flowers, just make it feel a bit more overgrown and just more unusual in its landscaping. Yeah. And so I decided that I didn't really like having the chair there. Tried pushing it forward a little bit, but you'll see later on I actually changed it. So then I have a bit of stone fencing in front of each, just to just to make that kind of walled effect that you'd have in front of a lot of gardens, front gardens at least. I then didn't like that because I was thinking the next house over would be orange, and that tea cozy kind of fit a bit better with the orange theme, so I flipped it over to that side, and decided to put something else on the right. And it was this little cute red tricycle. So I just thought that matched the theme quite nice, and maybe there's a little kid living there. And then I wanted to plant an orange tree, so this will be the orange garden. Luckily it's quite small because I didn't have many orange flowers on me. I don't tend to... Yeah, my previous island design was very pink, purple, blue themed, so that was my artist retreat. If you haven't seen that yet, my island tour is on this channel. I'll link it up above and down below. And yeah, so this Narnia redesign is like, I didn't restart the system, I just tore down and rebuilt. So I have all the existing flowers, but I just didn't have any much of orange left. So yeah, so then tucked in that little seating area. Playing around with the alignment a little bit. See, it's quite a lot of trial and error. And then still trying to find out what I want to put. Yeah, I thought that bush worked really well with the kind of yellow-orange tones. And yeah, I didn't mean to, I meant to stick that one up. and then put in some potted plants. I just think they give nice height and variation compared to just flowers. And then threw in a hedge. And then you'll see that I basically realized that with the setup, none of the villagers could access the chair. So I decided to switch that up a little bit and move the alignment so that you could maybe still scoot over and into it. I don't know if a villager will use it because it's still quite a tight squeeze, but at least like I could, for example. So yeah, so now that's an accessible little seating area, and I actually think it's quite cute sitting sideways like that. And then I was just looking around and then realized that my little pear tree didn't actually match the pink theme. So I swapped it with a peach, and then I wanted to put the pear tree on the furthest left house because there isn't really a yellow tree. So this kind of fits-ish with the theme. So yeah, so we blend from yellow, orangish, green, yellowish to orange to red to pink. So yeah, just planting some bushes and some extra trees. I thought having more trees might camouflage the house and make it seem a little bit less imposing of like an extension basically. So I just wanted to hide it, and then added some taller plants to fill in the space and just make it feel a little bit more lush and full. And then I thought the deer scare would be quite cute, planting some yellow flowers. I don't have any actually available on my island because as I was mentioning, I had mostly pink and purple and blue, and white flowers, so at least I could get the seeds. And then added a couple of sweet little items you might find in a garden, and then filled in some of the stone fencing. But because this left yard is bigger, it just took me a bit of time to figure out like the right balance of fencing and everything. So I ended up deciding to go with a bush in between just to break up the space so it didn't seem too lopsided. And then placed a little lamp, street lamp, because, you know, it's a city. And then just to say on the left, I'm going to build up a cliff and have that like enclosing the space as well. So if it's looking bare and just randomly full of dropped items, that's why. And then yeah, just laying out some more plants and flowers, and then wrapping around with some hedging. And that was it. So those were all the landscaped gardens. So yeah, just giving you a little quick run through. That's how it looked just in terms of the gardens being created. And then time to put down the staircase. So I ended up fiddling with this a little bit because in this variation I just felt like once you go up then you're immediately almost off the cliff. So even though that was kind of my original design and I wanted to keep that 2x2 path at the bottom, it didn't feel quite right. So waffling ended up deciding to build out the cliff a little bit more and then push the stair back a little bit. So yeah, just adding a little bit more to that cliff and then placing the incline down again. And I think that feels a better placement, even though it affects how much path can lead into it. It just felt a bit cleaner. Okay, and then time to pay Lloyd. The stairs, I find the stairs and bridges extremely expensive. Like, compared to moving a whole house, why does a stair and an incline cost so much? Answer me that, Tom Nook. Anyways, paid it off. That's what matters. And then I decided to work on the attic, so you can see how you can kind of just hop and jump along them. I didn't think too much about the design, but I did map out some items beforehand just so this video wouldn't take forever, but basically came up with a rough theme for each villager. So this is the attic above Olive's house, and in my previous artist island I had imagined her as a potter, so like making pottery. So in this version I thought maybe she's quite handy with DIY, so I put quite a lot of tools and other DIY items like that tool shelf, and I've got this bench here where there's going to be wood and yeah, just other handy items like that. Little smoker. Yeah, and then put a DIY workbench, just because I think that item just looks really cool, but also it's handy to have them dotted around the island just in case people need to craft. And then wanted to fill out the back stalls with some items, just because I think, you know, they're useful space to put in. Oh, and then wanted to fit in something on the side there. Just some random little bits and bobs Olive might use when creating things. And that was her house done. So yeah, just like nothing special, but just fills in an attic. And I also thought, since it's an attic, it doesn't need to look too curated. It's just like a space where you store stuff mostly. And then this is the house above Elvis, and he's like very fancy. I don't know if you noticed his house, but he's got like a gold embossed door, and he hangs out in a royal outfit. So I thought he might be someone who likes antiques and kind of older items. So I just put quite a few things that I thought might be collectibles. So like the film projector and those records and the Lily record player and this street organ, just like old school items. And then a little tea set, and the coloring is quite royal as well. The bear is a bit random, but it also, people collect things like that, so yeah, just thought why not. But then wanted to switch up the height just because the clock is red and the tea set's red, and I just didn't want it in a straight line, so I wanted to create some diagonal spaces there. And then lastly, this is the space above Diana's house. Now I had two ideas in mind for her. One to do with her kind of villager character, so she, you know, she always looks quite pretty and put together, so I thought she's definitely someone who washes and irons her clothes meticulously. So I put quite a lot of laundry items. But also in the Narnia story, this would be Polly's house, who is one of the main characters in The Magician's Nephew, and in the book it talks about her like crawling into this attic space and yeah, just having a candle and having a little drink and bringing up a broken rickety chair. So I put this little rocking chair there because I thought she might sit there and just like hang out. Yeah, and then put a few more kind of clean, nice smelling things on the back of the stalls. And that's all the attic's done. So this is the final run through. Now, I meant to, I did record a speed build for this library entrance, but my computer crashed and I lost all those files. But anyways, the idea is that you're stepping into a book and you're stepping into Narnia Chronicles, and then you wander straight into this neighborhood. So I love this diagonal bridge. And then as you see, I also landscaped over to the left. This little, oh, let me just catch something first. Just to say this horse cart idea is not my idea. I was inspired by Momo Crossing on Instagram, but it's kind of meant to allude to the horse carriage that Jada the White Witch steals when she's in London. Commandeers is probably the better term. And then I've noticed that putting my villagers all together here, they hang out so often. They're really cute, but they do kind of get in the way when you're trying to walk, so I might have to work on my path later on. But anyways, I like how everything's laid out. I put a lot of ducks all around because I thought they might just hang out by this little river. And some more street lamps and lighting just to, yeah, like a good city road should be well lit. So yeah, now just wanted to give you a couple more close-up shots of each house so you can see the landscaping around and how I designed in front as well. So that's Elvis's house, the antique dealer, and then this is Olive, little DIY lady. I also gave her a little picnic area. Well, all villagers can use it, and made sure that they would be able to access those chairs. So yeah, and then this is heading up the incline through the attics, and yeah, I just like that you can climb into this upstairs space, and I feel it gives you little secret insight into the villagers' kind of hidden life. You know, like you don't normally show people your attic, it's quite private, so it's kind of, yeah, fits into a little bit of a backstory. And yeah, I'll film a separate one for the magician's lair on the left, but that was quite a big space, so I think I just need a little bit more time to figure out what I want to do there. But yeah, that'll be in a forthcoming video. So yeah, so that's the whole run through. I hope you enjoyed this little speed build. Covered a lot of ground and I had to cut out quite a bit of sections just to keep this under 30 minutes. But yeah, hope you find this useful, and if you create anything like this, please send me pictures. I'd love to see, and have a great day. Bye guys.